Welcome to the Huddle, a discussion about how the changing face of the workplace is leading not only to happier, healthier lifestyles, but also better work. I'm Rian Chandler-Dovis, coming to you from my home in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. I'm a managing partner at Brand Federation, a consultancy built to bring out the best in people by giving them the flexibility to live their most fulfilling lives. On the Huddle, I talk one-on-one with branding and marketing professionals. We'll get to know them as people, what motivates and inspires them, what advice they have for others, and how their lifestyles are supporting great work. Today, I'm going to be talking to Erin Bishop. We're going to talk a little bit about how she has learned a passion for end-of-life support, about her deeper connecting with her environment, and some of the ways that she kind of gets out of the grind and gets better in touch with herself. So Erin, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional journey to get here today?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. I'm excited to be here. I am in my late 40s, and I am sort of at the time in my career where I'm able to make some decisions about lifestyle, and that's a wonderful thing. My background, I'll say I've always been fascinated with psychology. I thought I was going to be a therapist when I was younger. And as I learned more and went to college and experienced the world, I found that the workings of the mind continued to fascinate me, but from the standpoint of their impact on culture and their impact on behavior, and looking more broadly into the way that those individual forces can drive collective behavior. And that really found me finding my way to market research and insights and trying to find a way to measure it and predict it, and then coming to understand that it's so big and complicated and beautiful that really just kind of playing in that sandbox and containing it the best you can is the most interesting way to do it. And so I've built this career around investigating what makes people tick, what makes people do what they do. My father was in advertising, and I think that influence also helped sort of shape me into channeling this into branding and marketing work.
That's awesome. Have there been any like unexpected zigs or zags in that journey?
Oh my gosh, yes. I quit for a little while altogether to become a caterer. And that was a 1-year experience. I had a culinary fascination for years. I left the company where I was and was freelancing, doing some research work while I was exploring this catering world. And I started a little catering business. And what I had envisioned was me in a chef's coat chopping carrots, but it was really emptying mop buckets at 1 a.m. and just like a real slog. And respect to everyone in that world. That was a zig. Like many, the pandemic created some opportunity for me to reevaluate. I had some family members become ill and pass, and that opportunity to reevaluate presented itself as well. And that is really when I thought I'm in a position now where I can put some parameters around the role that my professional mission plays in my life. And I was with a wonderful firm, and I made that decision to dial back, and it was hard. They just knew me as a person for whom professional drive was the primary motivator.
Mm.
It no longer was, certainly still a strong one, but that priority had shifted a little. And that's what eventually brought me over to Brand Federation.
Love that.
I'll tell you about another zag if you'd like. As part of that, and during the pandemic, a little bit before, I've had a couple of experiences caring for folks who had a terminal illness. And that's led me to some end of life work. And I got trained as an end of life doula. And I'm in the process of getting certified as an end of life doula and becoming active in end of life causes, and working towards sort of changing the way that we think about that in this country, which incidentally is the ultimate branding problem, which will be fun to talk about within Brand Federation also.
I knew a little bit about your passion there, and I was excited to talk about it. And it leads perfectly into sort of how your life fuels your work and drawing those connections between these amazing zigs and zags and passions that you just spoke to, and sort of how you're living today and living into, sort of that mission, if you will, that professional mission in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, I think my mission changed when I was reevaluating. I think my mission was sort of before it was achievement only. And now my personal mission is wellness with achievement close behind. I don't know that I've grown out of the need to achieve yet. So, in that sense, that mission is fueling my life. The role that I'm playing now professionally allows me to live that. And I'll say that the more I live those passions that are outside of my professional passions, the better I am at those professional passions. In that, one, I'm out in the culture more. I think when I was working 70-hour weeks really, really regularly, you can't help but be insular to what you're doing and who the folks are that you're with. And I think that limits perspective a little bit. I have found that my perspective is much broader when I'm out in the world, when I'm observing the culture and all of these forces that I'm so fascinated with. That's a big part of it, especially along the end of life journey that I've been on. There are few things more revealing about the workings of the human mind. This area, I think, can be a microcosm for so many things. And so that is greatly informing the way I think about the human condition and what that means for the decisions that we make.
Yeah, it's sort of the thing we all hate to think about, but ultimately should be driving so many more decisions, right? And so it all becomes raw there at the end.
Yeah. And I think a lot of our day-to-day decisions can, when you get really philosophical about it, kind of get rooted in some of the ways of thinking around end of life that we have as a culture.
So interesting. How about that passion for cooking? Are you kind of rekindling anything, or did it die with a slog?
Well, it stayed alive for a long time. As I said, I did this catering business. It was really cool and fun, and I learned a lot. Then I turned into sort of an entertainer. I loved to throw parties, and it would be like a catered event. I would cook and cook and cook and cook. And I finally, I don't know, it was a few years ago, I had somebody say, like, sometimes people like a job. Like, I invite people over to my house and I'm like, you do nothing. Sit right there and enjoy yourself. And so I started dialing back on that, and I found I enjoyed it. And now I'm finding I cook a little less and I'm losing my mojo. You have to practice.
Mhm.
I had to look up how to do rice the other day, and that was important for me.
That cookbook, the page that I go to the most is how many cups of water were I can relate to that one.
And also, what is appealing about the cookbook is that there is a formula, and it's real easy.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I find like the perfect rice is actually not that easy. Like there is a little bit of finesse to the perfect rice that I don't tend to have. So I can relate to that piece.
And I've switched from a gas range to an electric range, and that may be part of my losing my interest.
Yeah, it really is a different experience. So I'm about to ask you about the fifth picture on your camera roll, but before I get that, is there an interrelationship to your cooking and your chickens and your gardens, like this beautiful space you're in?
Yes, as part of my mission toward sort of wellness and achievement, and my really getting close to thoughts and sort of almost meditations around the end of life. One of the things that I think about a lot are the regenerative systems. And I'm finding that the chickens and the eggs, and we're composting their manure and putting it in our garden and making the food and the scraps go to the chickens. And I get this great joy out of a sustaining system of operation that does as little harm as it can. And I find that to be a great life lesson and a great professional lesson. And I think we can strive for that as businesses also.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so fifth picture on your camera roll. What do we got?
Okay, we have a woodpecker in
Ah,
the yard.
in your yard. That's beautiful. Wow, what a gorgeous guy. You don't usually see him on the ground.
No, we have stumps around a fire pit. And I saw somebody in the neighborhood the other day with their yard had been designated a wildlife habitat, which is so neat. I have no idea how to do that or even if I could, but a woodpecker in the backyard seems like a good step.
Love that. Yes, that is definitely a step towards a wildlife habitat.
Can I show you my sixth picture?
Yes.
The sixth picture, this is my dad in Moab.
Wow.
Also,
Wow. Gorgeous.
also living his wellness and balance.
Yes. Look at that. No other humans and that like incredible landscape all around him. That's spectacular.
Yeah.
Even like the color of his shirt is somehow beautiful in that picture because
Great
it's so,
photo.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really great photo. All right. So do you have a point of inspiration that you draw on? And this could be like a book or a movie or a show, a person.
There is one individual, his name is BJ Miller. He is a living advocate for all the things that I like. He embodies the knowledge that I seek, and he's very inspiring to me. He's a physician active in the end of life world and really active in conversations around the way that we think and operate and how the way we think about our death can really fuel a beautiful life if we let it. And I find that to be deeply inspiring. And I look to him a lot, both professionally and personally. I find that value allows me to just be my best self and do my best work in every way.
That's great. It has occurred to me over this call that I should extend an invitation to you to come down for Dia de los Muertos. It's like,
yes, I very much love to do that.
yes, please. It's my favorite time of year here. We have like straight 5 days of celebrations. We go to the graveyards, we do a parade, we dress as Catrinas, we have a whole altar in our house, and there's tons of them all around. And I would love to host you for that. So, any point in time, if you and your partner and your son want to come down,
Thank
you are
you, Ryan. I very well may take you up on that. There's a group in Richmond, the RVA death doulas, that I'm trying, they don't know this yet, but I'm gonna try to convince them to help me start a Richmond celebration because we don't have one, or contribute to one that's there that needs some help.
I love that. Well, and if you need supplies, if you need papel picado or whatever, like I can bring things up too because they're readily available here. So
Wonderful. And I think that's just such a perfect example of the way that a community can ritualize something that we are afraid of, sort of, but enriches us so beautifully.
yeah, definitely. So what are you most looking forward to in the future? What's on your horizon right now that just has you jazzed?
Well, I'm engaged.
Yeah.
Do not have a wedding date yet, but the planning and the excitement around that are pretty palpable. So that's my big like future on the horizon. My partner's brother is first in line for a wedding. So they're going to get married and then we're going to get married.
Oh, the family dynamics.
That's a little room. Yeah. And in the near term, what I have been finding works really well for me are short little retreats. I really can value some quiet and some solitude. I'm very much an extrovert otherwise, but every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, I try to do a long weekend away. Sometimes I do silent retreats occasionally, and those are really great. My next one of those isn't for a few months, but I do have a great little kayaking retreat trip planned in the next couple weeks.
That sounds amazing. What a beautiful thing in that mission for wellness to integrate into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful, and it's easy on the knees, which is also helpful in my late 40s stage.
And the plan for your wedding, do you know where, or do you have any exciting details that are worked out?
For the wedding?
Yes.
No, I don't know where, but one of our trips this year is we named the venue scoping trip. We're going to stay in Virginia, but maybe in the mountains.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I have just loved hearing a little bit more about your journey and your passions. Is there anything else you want to share just to help inspire others on their road to finding that personal mission like you have?
Well, I will say, Ryan, I would like to thank you because you have been inspiring to me, the decisions you've made around work and how you access it and live your life around it. And that example was no small part of my interest in Brand Federation, honestly. And so thank you is what I would like to say. And I guess to anyone else on that journey of wellness, I would say, look around, that there are places that are open to those decisions for you, that the total grind isn't the only option.
I love that. And right back at you. You're such an inspiring woman. I'm so thankful to work with you. So thank you so much for doing this, being here with me today and having this conversation.
Absolutely. My pleasure.